Hey again, and for this video, I figured it would probably just be easiest for me to explain this to you. But how what we're learning about today connects to the systems of Jim Crow segregation that we've been talking about, is again in the late 1800s, early 1900s, what's known as the Jim Crow era. Um, the country really was completely taken over and run by the forces of white supremacy in pretty much every single aspect of life, both economics, socially, politically. White supremacy ran the entire country, and it was no secret. It was an open thing with things like the KKK, lynchings, segregation. And this, of course, was not just for people of color that were already in the country. This is going to apply to people that are coming to the country as immigrants that are not seen as white people. And you might notice I do the term white people in quotations. And the reason I do that is because, again, white people is just an idea. It's not like a specific category, and it's changed over time which groups of people are allowed into the group of whiteness and which people are considered outside of the group of whiteness. And so a lot of people today that are considered to be white people were not considered to be white people over 100 years ago. And we're going to look at a few of those major groups here. One of the most major of these groups was Irish people from Ireland, Italian people from Italy, and Eastern European people, sometimes called Slavic people, from Eastern Europe, places like Russia, Poland, Eastern European countries. And these people, even though they're just as pale as I am, would on the outside be like, oh, that's a white person. Based on where they came from, their culture, their background, they were not considered to be white people and faced a lot of discrimination. I don't know if I'd call it straight up racism, but prejudice, discrimination, hatred, very similar to what some people of color experience for these groups of people too. For example, my great grandfather was an Italian immigrant who came to the United States in the late 1800s, and he, as an Irish, or not Irish, sorry, Italian man, his name was Olindio Malacarne. He faced a lot of persecution for speaking his language, Italian, for being a Catholic, which was something you'll see was there's a lot of hatred against Catholic people. And for being darker skinned than other Europeans. People from Italy have a little, they're considered Mediterranean people. And this hatred had a lot of similar effects to modern day immigrants, where he had to decide, am I going to pass on my language to my kids? Is that going to hurt them or help them? Or should we just become Americans and give up our culture, our language, our traditions in order to become part of the mainstream dominant culture? And all of these arguments, these pressures of what was called assimilation, which we've talked about before, are part of white supremacy, a view that the United States should look only one way, and that one way is based on white supremacist values that are really based on the original colonizers of the United States, people from England, France, and places that are considered Western Europe. Those were the original colonizers, the people who conquered this place, took it away from the Native Americans. And then once these new immigrants start showing up, they're like, no, 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 no. We need, this is ours, not yours. And so we're going to really see these connections between how anti-immigrant hatred in the 1900s is very similar to the anti-immigrant sentiments that still exist in the world today. There's different groups these days. So that's our little background. The Jim Crow segregation definitely connects to white supremacy and anti-immigration, not only in the 1900s, but even in the world today. It's definitely connected to each other. And that's what we'll see in our lesson today. So thanks for watching this background video. Make sure you answer the questions below.